Hey everybody, classmates, Professor Turner, anyone who will be watching this, I am beginning my experiment. This is our experiment having to do with physical and chemical changes and everything, and this is the first thing. So what I did, I've already measured out 250 milliliters of our deionized water, and then we're going to go ahead and put this in a pot and go ahead and start to boil. And then now that that's done, as soon as we get to a boil, I have my thermometer here. We're going to take the temperature of this, and then we will move on to our next steps. Alright, so we're already getting those bubbles that start to form before it boils. I have my thermometer ready. We're just waiting for it to continue on boiling, and then we'll take the temperature and record our data. Yeah, so this is typical. There's the bubbles rising to the top afterward. I'll go ahead and stick the thermometer in. And then have my pen and paper ready to take the temp. Now my water is boiling. I'm just really quickly looking at the temperature. It's hard to see. I'm currently at 85 degrees Celsius. 85.5 degrees Celsius here with the water at the boiling point. I measured out my 25 milliliters, measuring at the meniscus of our water, and we are going to pour it into the beaker. And then we are going to go ahead and pour a packet of Kool-Aid. I'm using Tropical Punch. I don't know. One of my favorite flavors. Okay. And then we're just observing. I'm gonna go ahead and use the thermometer just to stir. So just looking at this, it's very, very cloudy, and there's no real, there's a couple little blobs of powder that's stuck together, but it is very cloudy when you look into it, and when I turn it, it's hard to show it without spilling it, but way back in the back there you can see where there's some powder left on the residual on the bottom. I'm just going to continue to stir a little bit and see what happens in a couple minutes, and then write down all my observations on this. Yep. So I stirred some more. We still have that residual. It didn't completely dissolve into this, but it is look like it is mixed very thoroughly. Looking at it. This is the ground beef portion of the experiment. Put that in there. Alright, still cooking here. Still some pink as we get to that brown color constructed. cut, we've reached that brown color. You can see here all of it's brown. Moving on to the next step, I have my 20 milliliters of vinegar. I'm going to pour that into my beaker. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead, and it says fill just like so you fill the bottom of the beaker. So I'm just going to use a spoon, add some baking soda. Okay, this time I'm going to try not to get a clump. Okay, it says just enough to the bottom. Then we have our reaction. We have moved on to the Drano part of the experiment. I have my gloves on, I have my goggles on behind the camera. For this, it was the 20 milliliters of Drano. I've already recorded what it looks like to make sure you record your observation. And then it said, once again, get about what you would need to fill the bottom. So I have some Epsom salt. Get about what you would need to fill the bottom using, I'm going to use about the same amount as I used with the baking soda. And it says to pour it in. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that into our and then it said to record your observations of this and see what happens and occurs throughout all of this process. Alright, so this is the part of the experiment with the laundry soap. And we're going to slowly pour our water over. See how it's bubbling into the Alright, we have moved outside for this portion. This is the sparkler portion. And my sparkler, I've taken my beginning observation just to notice the differences before and after. I'm going to go ahead and light it. Alright, there we go. And I do have this at arm length away from my body. Not a fan of the sparks. You can see it burning, it's giving off the smoke, a little bit of a smell. It's very flammable. Of course, they're meant to be burned. Alright, well that's the end of that. This is our sparkler after it's burned. Of course it's brown and very, I guess what you consider the same consistency as burned paper we have here. I'll write more about it in my notes.